Hello, figments of my imagination. Happy birthday to me because it's June, and obviously I partied a little too hard because I'm extremely late getting this stream review out, which is a little awkward considering what I'm about to say, but hey, that's life. So to get straight to it, May's stream focus was Node Wars, a hotly anticipated feature that many people, including me, have been waiting to see for literally years at this point. And I'll talk about that, specifically at the timecode on the screen now, but first I feel like I need to respond to a little earlier part of the stream. While introducing the demo video, Steven said this.
Some people say, like, why are these presentations so long? Well, this, despite what it may appear like to some people, this is not a marketing thing, right? We're not trying to acquire new users with this. We're not trying to make sales. We can't make sales right now. This is our obligation and also our opportunity. There's 2 points there, right? Obligation and opportunity. One, obligation to keep you informed and abreast of progress for the game's development. That is, we are public development process. We believe in that process. We think it's a good thing that companies should do. Because ultimately there is no stronger relationship in consumer to corporate purview than that of a gaming company, right? It literally, as a player, you're the lifeblood of the company, right? So it's our obligation to keep you abreast of progress. On the second side of that coin, it is our opportunity to collect live feedback from you guys so that we can make sure the product we're making is going to be received in a way that is something you want, right? It's positively. It's yes, I'm aware of what you're building as a player, right? And I've given you my thoughts on the player. Now, not everybody is into that, right? Like probably 98 to 99% of players in the world are not watching a stream like this where it's a development update. You are a select few, a unique cohort of people who take interest to the next level, right, of a game that's up and coming, right? Most people, they wait around for the trailers, they see the launch date, and they're like, all right, cool, I'll wish list this or something, right? Like that is the vast majority. So
now, I was pretty surprised, especially since just 2 months ago I had this to say about the fighter preview stream for March. The whole stream clocked in at a whopping 2 hours and 40 minutes, with the fighter demo taking up 98 minutes of that alone. So what exactly did we learn from that almost 3-hour investment? Honestly, not much. Steven went over all the abilities of the reworked fighter, along with giving a brief look at the greatsword weapon skill tree. As expected, and as I've said for the past few stream reviews, the main purpose of this stream seems to have been showing off just how playable the game currently is. Which is fine, but historically these streams have served as a great source of information, not just about features and mechanics of the game itself, but also deeper glimpses into the development process. The last few streams, on the other hand, have basically felt like commercials for Alpha 2, a very odd move considering they only really started pushing this format after they stopped selling the keys. Well, looks like Steven, or more likely a member of the community team, watches, and I can probably kiss a spot in the affiliate program goodbye. I'm joking of course, but I do want to make my stance more clear here, since I can see how just that clip alone looks like I'm taking a shot at Steven and the team. And yeah, maybe I am a little, but not in a serious way. The reality is, no matter the intended purpose of the dev streams, they still act as commercials for the game, and that's not a bad thing. In fact, I think it's a very important thing, especially with a genre that has such a long development time. Giving people a glimpse of what's to come every month helps keep them engaged, even if to a small extent. That being said, I expect the dev streams to become less important as an advertising platform once Alpha 2 releases and the community itself becomes the ad platform. But that's not where we are yet, so for now the monthly dev streams are all we really have. But the bigger issue that sparked Steven even mentioning this in the first place was my complaint about the length of the stream. And I want to be clear, my issue isn't the length alone, it's what's contained within that length. The Friday stream in March was 2 hours and 44 minutes, with the preview taking up 1 hour and 38 minutes of that. And in that preview, after Steven ran through all the abilities, almost zero new information was given. Which is fine, we've had streams like that, especially when previewing an archetype. But this time it took 38 additional minutes, after spending an hour going over all the abilities individually. For comparison, the Ranger preview update back in December took 35 minutes to go over the abilities, with only 12 minutes for gameplay afterwards. And the Cleric update in July followed a similar formula, with 31 minutes dedicated to the abilities and 20 for gameplay. By the numbers, the fighter stream was essentially twice as long in both categories. But here's the thing, I don't care if the first part's longer. Hell, I wouldn't even have mentioned the length if Steven spent 1.5 hours going over all the abilities and the skill and weapon trees, then the last 8 minutes was a little demo showing it in action. My problem was 38 minutes of gameplay that, while very pretty, contained almost zero new information. And I find that mildly annoying, especially since, as Steven himself said, the point of these streams is to show the process and inform the players of progress. That goal was met in the first hour, but I can understand including a little demo to show it in action for 10, 15 minutes. But beyond that, what purpose did that extra 25-minute chunk serve beyond just looking pretty? Again, that sounds harsh, which isn't my intention, but the only purpose I can fathom for the extra time is showing off playability, essentially like a commercial. In fact, this stream kind of helps my point as well. In total, the Node Wars stream was 2 hours and 30 minutes, just 14 minutes shy of the fighter stream, but that time was packed with information. My personal notes for this month are 3 times the length of the fighter notes, and those were basically just typed up descriptions of each ability. And on a personal note, I found this month's stream significantly easier to watch than the fighter stream. Maybe that's just preference, but I feel like having so much new content in every minute really helped. But despite everything I just said, I think the most important thing I need to say is that none of it actually matters. Sure, like I said before, it's mildly annoying to feel like the stream is dragging on a little, keyword being mildly, but at the same time, it's fine because it shows that development focus is being put on the correct priority right now, polishing up Alpha 2. In fact, I literally said as much the month before the fighter stream. A whole stream on what are essentially dailies isn't the most exciting, but it shows that the team's main focus is where it should be, making Alpha 2 playable and polished for the testers. To summarize, while it's a little annoying when a stream is longer than I think it should be, at the end of the day, I don't care. I'm just happily gobbling up every bit of Ash's content I can. Sure, if I had it my way, the fighter video would have been about 30 minutes shorter, but that's really not a big deal. And yes, these streams are commercials, whether intended to be or not. Wow, that turned into a long rant. Welcome back everyone who skipped it. Now let's talk about some Node Wars. The preview itself was packed with information, and I recommend everyone who's even slightly interested in PvP give it a watch. I'll link it below like always. But for those who just want the quick overview, Node Wars are internode conflicts that reward the victor with multiple benefits, ranging from powerful buffs and reduced taxes to more aggressive things like siphoning the losing node's gold and experience, or even giving the winning mayor temporary mayoral control over the loser. Declaring war can only be done by the mayor of a node, and, at least for Alpha 2 purposes, requires commissions to be completed by the citizens of that node. Steven mentioned that the plan for release is to have wars be launched as part of an internode reputation system. Once war is declared, citizens from both participating nodes become flagged for each other, enabling open-world low-consequence PvP. The goal is for one side to reach a certain point threshold, marking them as the winner. In the demo, that threshold was 1,000 points. Kills award 1 point, while objectives and events award significantly more. Speaking of events, these seem to be the main attraction of the war system. According to Steven, these events will only happen during the server's prime time, a 2-hour window when server traffic is typically expected to be the highest. Multiple different event types exist, or at least will exist in the future. The one demoed was a PvP/PvE hybrid where players were tasked first with killing NPCs and looting chests to turn in items. You could kill enemies to have them drop whatever turn-ins they were holding, or just focus on killing the NPCs. Afterwards, the event shifted to a channel objective, which effectively became a mass PvP ground war, with each side attempting to defeat enemy channelers while protecting their own. When the objectives were complete, the winning side is granted control over the territory, granting a luck buff to everyone on the winning faction while there, along with a large amount of points towards the overall war. One highly noticeable feature displayed was the dragon Steven was riding. This special mount is available only to the mayor and only during the war. For Alpha 2, they will be available for all mayors, but the plan for live is to require node level 6. Additionally, the mayor will have access to special long cooldowns to buff citizens for the battle. Now for some rapid-fire Q&A. Steven reconfirmed that in-client VoIP would be a thing, at least for taverns, raids, and parties. Steven also said there's no mercenary system for players, only for NPCs, so if you're not a citizen of the node, you can't participate in the war. War can be declared whenever, but events will still only spawn during prime time. From a strategic standpoint, it seems like the best time to declare would be 1 minute before prime time, so your side could be ready immediately to rush the event spawn, while the other side scrambles, assuming there isn't some sort of timer on events or an indicator that war is coming. Starting out, wars will just be between 2 nodes, but later plans are to add the ability for vassal nodes to participate via different war scrolls. War events are not capped, and the plan is to keep it that way. They want everyone in a node to be able to participate in what is obviously the major draw of a war. The mayor's dragon will have some sort of cost tied to it and must be paid again to get it back if it dies. It'll also have cosmetic options introduced later. All nodes can go to war, assuming they're at least level 3, but vassal nodes cannot fight their overlords. Also, mayors cannot derank their node to avoid war. Additionally, the type of events will depend on what war scroll the declaring mayor uses. They could be more PvP focused, more PvE focused, or anything in between. The goal for Alpha 2 is to have wars happen pretty frequently, obviously as a form of testing. On release, they'll probably be less frequent, but obviously still be a major activity. And finally, diplomacy between nodes will certainly be a thing, but Steven mentioned that for most of Alpha 2, that will essentially be handled by chat while they work on more robust features. And that's it. What an absolute monster of a stream. I mentioned at the start that I've been waiting for this for literally years, and it certainly did not disappoint. Mass PvP events are a blast, and I just hope I get enough chances to participate in the live game. Anyways, do YouTube stuff below, or don't, that's cool too. If you're part of the Ashes community team, say hi to Steven for me, from a fellow Steven. Don't forget to yell at me in the comments if that's your thing, and I'll see you all eventually.